urban population is growing, they're consuming more food, but at the same time, the distribution, it used to be that the farm and the consumer were close to each other, but now that supply chain is stretching globally. So what is happening is that one of the key concerns is that the process by which you take the food from farm to fork, because that is lengthening in terms of the number of players, the distance, the complexity, that the systems itself aren't keeping up, not just in how to preserve the quality and the safety, but also in how to enforce the laws and to ensure at the table that everything is done properly. What we were seeing was that consumers were going to the multinational establishments, buying the multinational brands, whether it be a retailer or a food, group like Unilever, Danone, etc. They were seeking safety. And so the multinationals are benefiting from that dynamic. So as the food safety problems were continuing to multiply in speed, size, and range, what we're seeing was that consumers would go towards the multinationals because they viewed them as safe, particularly those who were importing from other countries. Below that, at the status level, would be foreign manufacturers in China, and then below that would be the Asian brands in China, and below that would be the Chinese in China. So that was got a hierarchy. But this recent scandal has kind of thrown it up in the air, because what we're seeing is that on some level, in some parts of the system, it's no different. Right? And in many ways, the systems for enforcing and protecting consumers is not very different. So if you're going to be a multinational who commands a premium because you say that you're safer, what is changing through these scandals is that that's being questioned. And that's leading consumers to say, well, I'm not going to pay an extra 5 kwai for my chicken dinner when I can go down the street. I'll save a little money, but sure, it might be unsafe, but it's also unsafe here. So they're starting to really question, what is safe at all? And that, I think, is something that the multinationals need to really pay attention to, because anxious consumers act quickly in China. They walk away quickly, even at the hint of a rumor. And so that should be compelling multinationals to take a much more proactive stance, be far more transparent, really come open and say, we need to fix our supply chain. We need to really spend the money, the time, and the attention on these issues, because without doing that, you're going to lose the market. The question isn't whether or not they will come back. The question is, how much will it cost and how much time will it take? And that really is born through the Yum scandal of 2 years ago. It took them nearly 2 years to recover and start to report publicly that they were starting to grow again after years of really difficult confidence building measures. They tried, being more transparent. They tried engaging a little bit more. They tried, special deals, and it all largely failed. What it took was time for people to kind of forget and go back into their normal habits. So yes, the firms will recover, but the question is, how much time will it take and what will be the cost? Looking at this recent incident, the problem that I see most brands, particularly Yum and McDonald's, is they lost significant volume in terms of foot traffic. McDonald's just reported 25% fall off, the worst in 10 years, just in Japan. And China's likely to be far worse. So when you're experiencing that every 2 to 3 years, it's not just will they come back, it's when are you going to start to be able to grow again in a market that is your key growth market. So in terms of these food companies, I believe that they'll have to really redefine what they view as being responsible at the core of their business model. Right now, they use legal compliance and outsourcing arrangements to kind of compartmentalize their legal risk. But it's their brand risk. It's no longer the Shanghai Food and Drug Administration setting the rules of the road, it's the consumers. And they need to really redefine what responsibility means and that new dynamic. Because if they're unable to meet the obligations that are being set by consumers and understand the power of consumers and respect and engage that, they're going to lose the market completely at some point. We've seen it before, it can happen again, no problem, particularly around issues of food, which are so personal to individuals, and where the government really can, within one factory, a couple factories, shut you down.